What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new edition of Holding Court here on the First State Hoops Report YouTube channel. I am, of course, First State Hoops Report founding editor and Holding Court host Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you all are doing well this Super Bowl Sunday. And we also have some high school basketball. My nose is itching. I remember my grandmother used to say, when your nose is itching, you're expecting company. And ain't nobody coming by this house today, unless I'm hosting a Super Bowl party and no one's notified me of such. But yeah, we got some high school basketball today. St. Mark's and St. Elizabeth's will be playing at 2:30 p.m. over at St. Mark's. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it over to that one. Probably not. But I got to see St. Mark's before the season ends. But yes, it is Super Bowl Sunday. And I know it's a sore spot for Eagles fans around here. I know we got a lot of Cowboy fans around here, which I find to be very interesting. But to each their own. And so the official First Day Hoops Report Super Bowl prediction is what I'm trying to say is Kansas City 24, San Francisco 20. And you guys can check back in with us, or me rather, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at First Day Hoops Report. All that information, of course, and the contact email will be in the description below. We've had a really good week of basketball this week, y'all. Like, if someone asked me, would this be the best week of the year as far as gameplay goes, I would say absolutely. We've had the top two girls teams face off. We had a town rivalry going to triple overtime this week. We had a really good girls non-conference matchup. We had a couple upsets on the boys' side, a couple surprises on the girls' side, and we literally have 9 days of basketball left. 9. That's it. Well, actually, 9, because you've got Monday through Saturday next week, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the next week. So we have 9 days of regular season basketball left. And then, of course, the DIA Basketball Committee will meet in a room on Friday, February 23rd, count out all the points, see who has the highest point index, tiebreakers, all of that good stuff. And by the afternoon hour of Friday, we should know who the 24 teams are on the boys and girls side on February 23rd. Which reminds me, coaches, if you feel like your team is going to be in the tournament and have a deep run in the tournament, if you may recall, last season we did a live stream talking about the brackets, talking about the matchups. This is an open invitation. There's no mistaking it. If you are a Delaware High School basketball coach, you've been in the tournament, you were a state champion, you were a Final Four team, or you feel like you're going to be a state champion or you're going to be a Final Four team, reach out. We'd love to have you on our live stream. firststatehoopsreport@gmail.com is the email that will be in the description below. You can go ahead and hit me up and say, hey, Chris, saw that you wanted to do a live stream Friday, February 23rd. And we can work out all the parameters, make sure everybody's in line, everybody has the same availability, the same internet connectivity, all that good stuff. So we can all hop on this stream, talk about this tournament, which is probably going to be one of the better ones in recent memory because there's so much intrigue on both the boys and the girls side because we don't know who's actually going to be in it yet. That's the fun part. There's like maybe 10, 15 teams on each side that are like a foregone conclusion at this point. And then 11 to 16 through 24, the point situation is going to be very fun for those folks on the DIA basketball committee to try to figure out. Because Lord knows we've tried, those of us in the media, because we do this thing where we go find the information as much as we can find through Max Preps. And granted, I will say this, there are some states that are really good about updating their records. Shouts out to the folks in Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, the DMV, obviously. DMV basketball, they take their basketball very seriously. So I'm not surprised that everybody in DMV has their records up to date. New York and New Jersey, totally different story altogether. Trying to find records for them is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's very annoying. So a lot of the stuff that we're trying to parcel out to try to figure out who has the best chance of getting in the dance, it's hard to do because some of these states don't really update their stuff in a timely fashion. And that's the stuff that, is probably going to lead to some very interesting, moments when the committee meets on February 23rd. But yes, this week in basketball, oh man, what a week. We went to Ursuline Caravel on Thursday, and that game was as good as advertised. It was good as everyone hoped it would be. Ursuline jumps out to a 10-0 lead. It was 11-0. but I had it as 10 in my scorebook. I had to go back and look at the film. It's like, wow, okay, it was actually 11-0. Okay. But yeah, Ursuline jumped out to an 11-0 lead. And we all thought, people were walking around like, wow, looking around like this is going to be a wash. Not quite. Caravel, they got themselves calm. They ratcheted up on defense. What's going to make Caravel tough to stop going forward is they literally have 4 guards that can get their shot or create shots for anyone else on the floor. 4. Most teams are lucky to have 1. 2 makes you elite. Look at Gigi and Taylor. But you've got Josiah Crawford, Anaya Price, Speedy Wilson, Cherish Bryant. And I felt like Cherish was the X factor on Thursday because she actually did a bang-up job on the boards. When you take into account, she's only like 5'6", and she's taking rebounds away from Skylar Bolden, who's 5'11", Jazz Wesley, who's 6'6'1". It just says that this Caravel team is willing to do all the dirty work that it takes to be a champion. And I'm not saying that Ursuline doesn't, obviously, but Thursday, it was a clear-cut case of Ursuline, Caravel just being the better team that night. That could change come March 8th or March 9th, whenever the state championship game is, because we still haven't figured out, we haven't gotten word yet that it's going to officially be championship Saturday. But I believe if Mr. Executive Director, if the DIA Executive Director, Mr. David Baylor says it's going to be championship Saturday, this is going to be a championship Saturday. We're going to get the unified game at 12, girls game at 2, boys game at 6. Works for me. Because honestly, that Friday, going from Friday night to a Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, you just need a break. All of us need a break. Those of us who watch, those of us who play, those of us who coach, those of us who are in the media creating all of this content, we just need a day to breathe. It would be really nice to have a day to breathe, after the semifinals. So if it's a championship Saturday, we can sacrifice one long day for a Friday off. That would be beautiful, honestly, the way I picture it. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, back to the Ursuline Caravel game. There's no telling what will happen between now and the Final Four. But I can tell you this: it would be like one of the biggest upsets in the history of the Delaware Girls Tournament if Ursuline and Caravel don't get to the Final Four. Those are the 2 best teams in the state by a country mile. There's no disrespect to St. Elizabeth, no disrespect to Sanford, no disrespect to Paddle, who we'll talk about in a minute. But Ursuline and Caravel right now are 1 and 1A. And people are probably going to look at the First State Hoops Report top 10s like, oh, wow. You'll have to wait and see because they come out Monday. But either way, you can flip-flop those 2 at your leisure. They're still the best 2 teams in the state by a mile. And that game was everything that you expected it to be, and then some. Speedy Wilson had one of her better offensive performances. And like I said, Cherish Bryant was the X factor because how the Las Vegas Aces have like the 3-guard lineup because, you've got Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, who kind of plays like an in-between, like a combo guard and forward. That's what Cherish was. Cherish was like their Jackie Young on Thursday, getting the rebounds, hitting the open shots, finding the open player, all of that good stuff. So that Caravel team is really good. That Ursuline team, of course, has Gigi and Taylor. I think what probably needs to happen for Ursuline the next time should they meet Caravel is they have to get Emma Anthony more looks because she is a player that just doesn't miss at all. So if they can find a way to get Emma open so she can take her shots, and if Skylar and Jazz can give them just a little bit more offensively and do a little better job on their boards, then that game probably flips a little bit. But knowing Coach John Noonan, he's already told his girls this. He already knows that they already know what's at stake. We saw them after they lost to Sanford last year. They were beating everybody by an average of 35 points. So they're probably going to go on. Actually, they beat Woodbridge by about 40 yesterday. So they're probably going to go on another one of those tears heading into the state tournament. So I don't think for a second that Ursuline isn't still a favorite to win the state championship, because they are. It's just that Caravel has made it a much more interesting race than people would have suspected. We also went to Padua AI Girls on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? No, it was Tuesday. We went to Howard McCain Boys on Wednesday. We'll talk about that also. But that was my first time seeing Padua this year, and this was my first time seeing Padua since Denise Eichel Sackett took over as head coach. Last time I saw Padua, they were blowing a 15-point third quarter lead to Archmere's girls, and the former coach at the time got in trouble for uh, shall we say, un-Catholic-like behavior towards the officials, and that was the end of that coach's reign. And of course, enter Denise Igo-Sackett, who was one of the stars of the program in the '90s when Padua was a consistent Final Four team, a Catholic Conference powerhouse, and certain programs need people who understand the program to coach. That's why Gary Lumpkin is very successful as William Penn's boys coach. That's why Vince Evans Jr. is having a good run of success as Seaford's head coach, because he was the point guard when Seaford beat my Howard Wildcats in the '97 Final Four, which I'm still not over. And, you just need people who understand the culture within their programs. And who better than Denise Igo-Sackett, who, as Denise Igo, was an all-state player, in the '90s. So what helps Padua out is they have a scorer. And Abby Grillo was as good as advertised against AI, 37 points. I think she went, I want to say, 13 of 17 or 13 of 16 from the free throw line or something like that. But she was 10 of 10 at first. Like, she couldn't miss. Then as the game wore on, she got tired. You could tell she was a little tired at the free throw line. But, and that Padua team is just not a one-player team. Kai Durantway is how you say her last name. I've been struggling with that last name. I can't tell you how many times it took me to cut that highlight of the Padua AI game where I just said, forget it. Whatever pronouncement comes out of my mouth is what's gonna go on this tape. And but it's important to get people's names right. So Kai Durantway, Dwee Rontway, Kai Dwee Rontway. There we go. Freshman forward, who's like another Cherish Bryant in some respects, that she's an undersized forward, but she killed AI on the glass, the offensive glass at that. And that's something that Coach Lucky Price is probably going to have to, talk to his girls about as we head into the state tournament. But yeah, Kai had a pretty good game. Grace Churatola, can't leave her alone for a second. That's how I knew AI was tired. Grace's game-winning three, because she literally just kind of like stepped into it like it was a shoot-around shot. Like, there was nobody around her for like 5 or 6 feet. I'm like, y'all not going to cover Grace? Okay. And that ended up being a winning bucket. Abby Hayes played a really solid point guard for them. So that Padua team is really, really good. Like, they're going to be one of the top 5 seeds. And depending on the draw, they could crash this whole Final Four thing. Yeah, I mean, it all depends, because I've done some number crunching, but again, the numbers are unofficial because Max Preps, the teams out of state, don't update their record. So it's hard to say, what the actual points are. But right now, the top 4, as I have it by my calculations, and I know other people have, different ones. It's Ursula number 1, Caravel number 2, St. Elizabeth number 3, Padua number 4. Those are your top 4 seeds on my calculations for the girls. And not far behind, Sanford. I think Sanford's still outside of the bye race, but that's because one of their schools that they played out of state. Shouts out to Baldwin School in New York. Please update your record for us so we can figure this out. Thank you. Apple's a top 8 team for right now. Delmarva Christian is 17-1, and I think and I know people have misgivings about that program and that conference. But here's the thing. You can't make a team or a league or a conference add a team. Because everybody's like, why doesn't Delmarva Christian just play in the Henlopen? Because, well, the Henlopen is a public school conference and Delmarva Christian is a faith-serving institution. So those two do not cross paths. And I remember was it Delmarva Christian? No, it was St. Thomas More that was in the dynasty. But yeah, everyone was like, why? Everyone was like, well, why don't just have Delmarva Christian in Diamond State? Do you really want Archmere traveling from the actual border of northern Delaware? Because if you go past Naaman's Road for any indeterminate amount of time, say maybe 5 minutes, you're in Chester County, Pennsylvania. So we're talking about the very top of Delaware to the very bottom of Delaware in Georgetown. You really want Archmere traveling from Claymont to Georgetown? You really want Delmarva Christian traveling from Georgetown to Claymont, or from Georgetown to Hedgeville, where St. E's is in northwestern Wilmington? Just asking some questions, y'all. Some fair questions. Well, actually, southwestern Wilmington, excuse me, but just some fair questions. So yeah, Delmarva Christian plays in a conference that can be described as mid at best, but still have to win. You still have to win the game. You have to win you have to be who's in front of you. Right now, their only loss was to I think it's either Parkside or Wacomico or one of those Eastern Shore teams that's like 19-1. So, you lose. You only lost to a team in Maryland that's 19-1. You can't be too bad. So people can be upset about Delmarva Christian being in the top 5 or whatever, but they've won their games. You got to give them credit for that. And the real will show. I've said this all along. The teams who are the best teams, they get through 9 times out of 10. There are some years that you just can't explain, that you might find. And I told Sean Green this because I had the pleasure of being on the WDEL pregame show for Ursula Caravel, and I would like to, and I'm happy to announce that I will be joining Sean for color commentary for the first time this year. I did like 3 or 4 games with Sean last year. The schedule didn't work out because we had the snow and the rain. It's actually supposed to snow again on Tuesday, so we might have another day where we have to move these games around in the last, or some games just may not be played because we're too close to the end of the regular season. But yes, Friday at St. Elizabeth, I will be on the call with Sean for the St. E. Sanford boys game. Very much looking forward to that. So yeah, I was on the pregame show with Sean for Ursula Caravel, and I told him, I said, don't be surprised on the boys' side if one of the lower seeds gets through to like an Elite 8 or a Final Four. And I'm saying this because everybody's closely matched. If you look at the standings, and yes, you can, glean from it that some teams are better than others. We have St. Elizabeth, who's 15-0, and who could be undefeated going into the Middletown game, or they could be undefeated going into the Sanford game, and Sanford could be the one that puts the one in 15-1 or 16-1 or 17-1, wherever they'll be on Friday. But there's so much parity around the state, and you can look at a team like Salesiana that's 10-7, but look at the record. Look at the teams they played. They played Wood. They played Newman Goretti. They played DeMatha Catholic. They played like all the local programs. Like Sally's would be comparable to Sally's in the Delaware context, would be comparable out in Maryland and Pennsylvania and so on. So that Sal's team is still very good. Dover, that's just about wrapped up the Henlopen North. Middletown, yes, the Middletown. Yeah, one more thing, the Middletown game. Whew. I didn't get a chance to go to that one because, again, I'm still waiting to get my transmission fixed. I'm actually going to, my mechanic friend is actually going to give me a price on Monday. So if you feel so inclined, you can donate to my transmission fund at the description below. And then once I have that price, I'll probably update the GoFundMe with that information so I can tell you guys how much money I have left to raise so I can get my transmission fixed and get my car back on the road. But yes, I was able to watch that on the Appo Huddle channel, Middletown Appo, the triple overtime game that seemed never ending on Saturday. And it's right now one of the top 4 games of the year. Because for my money, the games of the year that I've seen either in person or on stream is the AI St. Mark's double overtime game, the St. E. Dover game Saturday, that one Saturday a couple of weeks ago. What other game did I like this year? Middletown Penn last Friday. And yeah, Middletown, because in Middletown Appo on Saturday. Appo just ran out of gas because when you come from 10 down with about a minute and a half left in the fourth quarter, and then you still push it 3 overtimes, and you're really just pushing beyond you pushed it. You literally just gave to the point of exhaustion. And if I'm Coach Tom Purse, I'm very proud of my team because that was a game that looked like Middletown had it in the bag. And then Appo took it out the bag and said, okay, let's play with this for a little while longer. And they went for another 12 minutes. So these kids played 48 minutes of basketball. That's a regulation NBA game. So if you ever wondered what the difference is, well, actually, no, I'm sorry, that's 44 because there's 32 minutes in a regulation high school game, so 44 minutes. But yeah, 44, close to 48. Tough, man. Very, very tough. You have to be ready and, willing to push yourself to a limit that you didn't think you were capable of. And Apple came pretty doggone close. But as it stands right now, Middletown remains the only unbeaten left in Flight A, and I think they have one Flight A game left. So yeah, they pretty much clinched the Flight A championship. Just like, Howard can clinch Flight B if they beat Concord on Monday. So yeah, very interesting, regular season wind up. Howard finally caught up to McCain, and that to me doesn't diminish what McCain has done this year. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it also says that Howard is still a very sneaky team. They're just very small. Like, their two tallest guys are Jamal Johnson, who's 6'2", and Mink Handy, who's like 6'2", 6'3"-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. But one thing about Howard is they will push you. They've lost to William Penn, Lazy Annam, St. E, and Sanford over the last 10 days. But none of those games were runaways. The only thing that hurt Howard against all four of those teams is the third quarter slump. For some strange reason, Howard's third quarter is like, a bugaboo for them. But I trust that Coach Rashawn Matthews will have them ready for the state tournament. And I hate to correct people. I'm not going to call any names out because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But every time I hear like a broadcast of Howard game, I hear Rashawn. It's Rashawn. He doesn't want to correct him, because he's a humble guy. But just call the man Rashawn and call Rashawn Matthews Jr. Or RJ as we all call him. Yeah, RJ's back. It was fun to see him back in the lineup. So that gives Howard some veteran experience in that backcourt because that backcourt is very young. Nick Bayside and Bryson Lane are sophomores. Mink Handy's a sophomore coming off the bench. He came off the bench against McCain and gave them some really good minutes. And Howard lost their two bigs because of grade stuff. Once again, kids, don't forget the student and student athlete. And this isn't me being joking. This is me being funny. This is me caring about your future because you're going to be a former athlete longer than you are a current athlete. And you got to get the grades right. And this goes out to anybody who has been ruled academically ineligible for the rest of the season. Use this time to get yourself together in the classroom and get yourself right for next year. Because you need to have the student part of student athlete down. It goes for everybody. Like, I can tell you a story that I joined the Howard football team as a junior, tried to anyway. Because, number one, we found out my vision was bad. We found this out in driver's ed, actually, that my vision was bad and that I needed glasses. And the nurse at Howard wouldn't clear me until I had glasses and goggles. So I got those. I joined the team for like 2 weeks. One of my grades slipped. My mom pulled me off the team. And it wasn't even in danger of failing. She just didn't like that it went down from an A to a C. Maybe that's a little harsh, but, when you're raised by a Virgo and Virgos are perfectionists, this is what happens. So, yeah. So, kids, don't forget the student part of student athlete. Very important. But, yeah, Howard, that's another team that in the right draw could make things difficult for a lot of teams. They've already won Flight B. So, that's, they're going to win. They should beat Concord on Monday. And this is no disrespect to the Concord Raiders, but, yeah, Howard should win Flight B. So, Howard winning Flight B, but Flight B has been very interesting this year, and I want to get into this to sign off because I posted something on the First State Hoops Report Instagram account, and I said I left two questions open. Who's your girls' coach of the year? Who's your boys' coach of the year? The two names that circulated the most for boys and girls, of course, we just mentioned Padua, Denise Eichel-Sackett for the girls, and Steph Johnson for the McCain boys. And in my opinion, he has to be the front runner for that award right now. Granted, there's not an official Delaware High School Coach of the Year for basketball. Maybe we as the media need to kind of sort of think about adding that to the DSBA till. Chuck Durante, if you want to talk about it with me, holla at me. I'm available. We didn't think we'd be talking about McCain this year. We really didn't. Because that team was 2-18 last year. They are 15-4. And pretty safe bet to make the state tournament at this point. Can't who knows the last time McCain made a state tournament? But that says a lot. And the thing that got me was just how many people had casted a vote for Coach Johnson. That says to me the power of how a coach can transform not just the team on the court, but off the court. Because it's easy, to like your coach when you're winning. But when you just talk about when you see, people giving coach happy birthday love in their Instagram stories and it's not basketball related, it's like it says a lot about how, one coach can just transform a culture somewhere. And Steph Johnson deserves a ton of credit for what he's doing at McCain. And if he can sustain that, then that would be a nice little story because as I've talked about until I'm blue in the face, and as you can see, that's pretty hard to do. That, public school, the fall of public schools meant the fall of sports in public schools, quite honestly. And if we can get more great stories like what Lucky Price is doing with the AI girls, what Steph Johnson is doing with the McCain boys, what Kevin Fillingham is doing with the Dickinson boys, what Russ Matthews does with the Howard boys, what Curtis Clapp does with the Howard girls, what Pat Woods does with the Woodbridge girls, with the Cape girls, excuse me, and what Isaiah Robinson does with the Woodbridge girls. There we go. If we can start talking more about public schools, in a basketball context and other sports, then we can sort of stem this tide and sort of bring things back. And this isn't an anti-faith serving. This isn't an anti-charter. This isn't an anti-VOTEC. This is just pro-public. That's really all it boils down to. Like, we need a strong public school system because if we start, privatizing education, God knows where we're going to end up. But yes, that's just my quick rant for the week. But yeah, the Coach of the Year ballot and the the Coach of the Year answers in our First Day Hoops Report Instagram stories. You can find those, probably through the end of the day because I didn't really start posting that until late yesterday. So you can see a lot of people voted for, Coach Sackett and the Paddle Girls. Larry Banks with Caravel, no surprises there, talented team. Coach Banks is a veteran coach who's coached college before, so of course he was going to have those girls ready to play. Marcus Thompson, Adriana Hahn, and Tyra Hill. Tyra is going to be a very interesting program in the next year or two under Coach Hahn. If she, because she trains. She's of course the leading Big East 3-point shooter of all time, and Villanova's all-time leading 3-point shooter. So can't get much better than that when it comes to training. Who else got votes? Someone voted for Ryan Nichols. Of course, Odessa's going to finish 15-5 and make the state tournament for the first time in school history. No surprises there. The boys, after Steph Johnson, Coach Ali at Middletown, Gary Lumpkin got some votes. Mike Cassidy got some votes. No surprise there. Best team has the best coach. So there's a lot of people who like coaches in the state of Delaware, and there are some really good ones. There are some really good ones. So that to me says that, I said it when I posted it on our First Day Hoops Report IG feed. Delaware basketball and Twitter as well. Delaware basketball is in a good place. We can get it to a great place if we give it the same care, same respect, same resources as the state gives football, baseball, lacrosse, soccer, track and field, cross country, volleyball. And I saw that Delaware Online posted a story from the Delaware Indoor Track Association who's trying to raise money for a field house. I know one of you rich Delawareans out there. I know there's a DuPont out there. I know there's somebody here got to have $10, $20 million lying around so we can get this facility popping. Because what would be nice is if we could get a facility, a field house big enough that's comparable to PG Sports and Learning, where the state track and field. Delaware kids driving all the way to Prince George's County. And I'll never forget because Saturday the state track and field indoor track and field championships were held. Mike Lang, Nick Halliday from Delaware Live Sports and myself were at the Sanford St. E girls game. And Mike Lang asked me, said, "Oh, you don't like driving to PG County?" I worked in St. Mary's County, Maryland, and I didn't like driving up to PG Sports and Learning. And that was a shorter drive than going from Delaware to PG. So there needs to be a point where common sense starts to take place and where the bottom line funds that common sense. And I know there's some rich people out there and need a tax write-off or something that just dropped $20-30 million so we can get a proper field house here in the state of Delaware, one that can host the swim championships, one that can host wrestling, one that can host track and field, one that could possibly lend itself to a basketball contest. Somebody's got the money. I mean, I ain't pocket watching, but I am clocking y'all. Somebody's got to, do something for the better good of these kids, so they don't have to, wake up 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to, drive 2-3 hours to Prince George's County, Maryland, to run an indoor track meet. I know y'all got some money, man. Stop the cat. Stop the cat. But yes, overall, we got 9 days of basketball left before the regular season ends, and then of course we have the Blue Hen and the Henlopen. Why? Oh my God! Why did y'all put these games on the same day? Why are y'all making me choose? Bad enough I got to be early up enough on that Saturday because WWE Elimination Chamber is coming from Perth, Australia, starting at 5 a.m. So I'll be up at 5 a.m. watching Elimination Chamber before I go to either one of these, either the Henlopen or the Blue Hen games. Somebody should have had this one on a Friday or something. I'm just saying, man. But 9 days of basketball left, so much left to figure out. And we are so excited to be able to, see this stretch through with y'all. So thank y'all for watching this edition of Holding Court. Really appreciate y'all's time. I didn't expect to talk this long, but it's still early. I'm going to go for a walk for the Super Bowl and, bake. I got some chocolate chip cookie dough that I've already made. So I'm going to roll up some cookies, eat a snack, and just chill until the Super Bowl. And then figure out what I'm going to do for dinner. But yes, thank y'all for watching this edition of Home Court. Really appreciate y'all's time as always. The Twitter info, the Facebook info, the Instagram info, the email address, the donation link, so you can help me with my transmission and other things related to First State Hoops Report, all be in the description below. Thank y'all for watching as always. Can't wait to see y'all in the gyms this week. And until that time, y'all take care of yourselves and each other.